Hi, everybody. Welcome. Dee Dee Russell here with weddingvenueowners.com. This is the video series where we share wedding venue stories from venue owners and managers all over the country. And today we are joined by Missy Lostetter. I want to make sure I get that correct.
Yep, you got it.
With Hawks Point Acres. And you are in Indiana, correct?
Yes, we're in Anderson, Indiana, and it's about 45 minutes north of Indianapolis.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know this wedding season is crazy.
Yeah, we are riding the roller coaster with you.
Well, all right, let's just jump right in and start talking about the roller coaster. Let's talk about Hawks Point Acres and how it came to be.
Okay, sure. We have kind of an interesting story. We actually have only owned Hawks Point Acres since September of 2020. So we are new owners. By we, I mean me and my husband. The previous owner built it. So Hawks Point Acres used to be the barn at Hawks Point and was built by the previous owner about 7 years ago. So she was ready to sell and kind of moved fast. And my husband and I had this pipe dream, right? Like the someday conversations where it's like for most of our marriage, and we've been married 18 years. So it's been like, someday we should do this. Someday, maybe a hotel, maybe a restaurant. No, I don't want to do a restaurant. We looked into buying a golf course back in Ohio, it's just kind of been, we've actually put offers on other venues here in Indiana and went all the way up to the line, and God just shut those doors. So we're like, okay, so we're back here. We about a year and a half, 2 years of like really a venue is what we want to do. And then this came up and we saw it on a Tuesday, the listing on a Tuesday, saw the building on a Wednesday, made an offer on Thursday and closed on Friday. So, or like accepted offer by Friday. So it was kind of this whirlwind. We're like one of those things where you just talk about it so much and plan and dream. And I kind of joked that Zillow was like my hobby, right? Like every night it was just Zillow, right? Zillow. So I was on 1,000 alerts and then it just within a week, you're like, and we're doing it. We're going to do it. Okay, we're doing it. I guess we're doing it. It's been fun. So the buying it came with some contracts for the end of 2020 and for this year. So that's been an interesting piece to navigate where the clients were sold one thing, whether the package and the pricing and the amenities, and we came in wanting to do it like this. So we kind of had this, it's been a little awkward, honestly, for some client, I feel bad for the first ones where I'm like, I'm learning, they have a different idea of what they're getting. So we've smoothed out a lot of the bumps in these 8, 9 months, whatever, 10 months. But it's kind of been a transition year on different levels like that, and then on top of things, so we had the accepted offer and closed at the end of September. And before we did that, about 200 yards that direction, there's an 80-year-old farmhouse and 2 acres and a historic barn and a detached garage that came up for sale before we had even closed on the barn. And my husband was like, we have to buy that. The bridal room was tiny in here. The groomsmen had like a legit low shed that they were getting ready in. So we knew we wanted to upgrade all that. And my husband's like, look what I found. I'm like, okay, who do you think is going to give us more money? We already have this gigantic loan that we're closing on in like 3 weeks. And we went through another whirlwind of like, quick, there's another offer on the farmhouse. Anyways, bought the farmhouse, got a loan, got approved, bought another 2 acres and farmhouse. And before we had even closed on the barn, I don't know. And that's what we did all winter. We renovated the farmhouse. That's what we did all winter. We did renovation.
What did you do last summer? This is what I did. I mean, Missy, there's so much to unpack here, first of all,
I know.
because,
I just blabbered on.
well, I mean, you're excited and then you're getting me excited, but also terrified. It's, wow. And did you need sleeping? Did you need sleeping enhancements through this process? Like, I mean, this is, so let's go backwards a little bit.
Girl.
Let's unpack this a little bit.
Okay.
You guys had to have a lot of conversations about whether to build or whether to purchase already built. And then going in to purchase a wedding venue, there's so many questions. You know, the number one thing I think a lot of people hear in any industry, probably when you deal with one person and then another, is so-and-so said. If I had $1 for every time Dee Dee said with a client that wants, you know, not to blame clients on everything, but you know, sometimes they're wanting to get their way, or they heard what they wanted to hear, or this is a great opportunity for us to say we heard something else, or we were told something else. In that process of the last owner said, or we were promised, and then you getting that kind of inherited, what an interesting thing to deal with. Did the last owner have a lot of hands-on with you, like sharing information and sharing knowledge with you, or they were kind of just like, here you go?
The previous owner, the transition, I don't feel could have been any more smooth. Like, she did a great job. She's like, here, she was super organized. Here's from the person who like mows the grass and takes care of the bugs to the plumbers and like all the contractors and things, to pictures of the keys and what they were for, and like her contracts and how she dealt with the employees, like super organized and very extremely helpful. But I did hear some of that. And, you know, we still are executing contracts through the rest of this year that she initiated. So
How many
there
did you
is,
get?
the purchase came with 11 contracts, I think. No, that's not right. We did 11 in 2020. I think it was 17, if I remember correctly. So we did 11 in 20, like we closed on a Tuesday and had a Saturday, Sunday wedding that following weekend. And then the rest of October, like the end of September and the rest of October, we ended up with 11 weddings. And then I think there was 17 total. So then, and we've added more, you know, that we've started and are executing this year. But then some of what she came with too.
Now, did you also, I have so many questions. I'm going to be running over myself with all these. I don't know that we're going to get to talk about anything else, because this is fascinating. Everybody wants to know how to purchase a venue, how to do this process. And then the things, they're all so different, of course, but
right.
Were the couples, how was the former owner preparing the couples for this transition? And did you also inherit social media and website?
So the previous owner did not tell the clients anything until it was peace out.
Ooh,
so I had
that
clients,
couple that week after you purchased, what was that like? I mean, that was like hey, by the way, don't freak out or anything, but I have some news for you.
Yep, totally. That was what my email pretty much said. Like, hey, it was a lot of reassuring. It was a lot of, when I came in, when we finished 2020, it was mostly just absorbing. They had great employees in place. They had great policies and procedures in place. And so it was like, I came in with I want to learn. I think the employees have appreciated that. I think, you know, I come from an education background. I have my master's in special ed and reading. So this was like brand new on so many levels. And so I just came in with show me, teach me, let me learn, help me understand. As far as like the business side of it, as far as the client side of things, it was a lot of, hey, this is what's happened. Here's who I am, and nothing will be different. I promise you, if anything, it's going to be better and it's going to be okay. And come meet me. My doors are open. Come see the barn again. Come all these things. Like I tried to be as accessible as possible, as reassuring as possible. And I think those first few weekends were kind of a blur for multiple reasons, but I think like this year's clients who came with the purchase, they were extremely complimentary. And because we've added the house, I gave the opportunity for these clients like, hey, we're doing these big additions, adding a whole farmhouse for you to get ready in now. The guys have this 2-car renovated garage. That's this sweet man cave. Here's what we can do to add that to your package. And majority of people jumped on it. And so then they came and they saw, we did updates in the barn and the bathrooms, and didn't change their price unless they wanted to add the farmhouse, but I had this balance of they bought something with the money that they wanted to spend with the package that they had in mind. And we had to respect that. So the space that the guys got ready in, the little Lowe's shed, right? Like they had the opportunity to add the man cave and the garage and stuff. But if that wasn't within their budget, we haven't done anything to the shed. Right. We left the room. I have plans. I want to, like, I have new direction for these spaces, but out of respect for the clients and what they have already budgeted, what they were promised, what they were expecting, we've kind of had to keep it mostly the same this year. So those spaces will grow and change for next season. But so that was part of the balance, right, of the transition phase of things. So, and I think you had a second part to your question.
Well, did you inherit the social media?
Or
was there any?
No, yeah, we did inherit social media too. I have learned a lot and taken that on myself because, I'm it. So, we being I have learned a lot and have figured out more social media than I thought I would need to, but, it was already established. Short answer. It was already established, wasn't, super developed and, upkept, but, yeah, it was there. We got that too.
Well, that's something. It's a package. It's part of the package, right? Would have been nice if it had 80,000 followers and, was super famous or something, but whatever. It's okay. All good. So it's so interesting from a business perspective to think of all the policies that were in place and where you want to go, but then to just kind of have this moment. Of course, this is in my mind of how it happened. I'm envisioning your story as told by my brain. That you're just like at a point where it's all moving so fast and there's so much crazy, like, let's purchase this one. Let's get a second mortgage. This is a great idea. And then you're just kind of looking at it like, what's that Tom Cruise movie where that big optical thing is in front of him? I mean, he could see all the data and all the information and all the numbers.
Oh yeah.
And you're just looking at these pieces and those pieces and the former pieces and the new pieces and how do the pieces come together? And
I know.
I mean, I can't imagine some of those moments that you had sitting there planning and plotting, but it's wonderful that you purchased from a great owner. And like you said, where opportunity comes and it feels like a rejection or a loss. I think a lot of people have gone through that just in buying regular real estate for their homes. And then it falls through and they think I'll never fall in love with a property again. Yep. I'll never find a great opportunity. And this owner was so organized. It's like when you get lucky and you buy a used car and that owner had like the big case, the big plastic case with every change, everything they did, the trustworthy, places that they took their car, everything they did, every time it was vacuumed and clean and what oil it likes, everything.
Exactly.
You kind of got that owner. And
we got that.
Incredible value that is. I mean, did they share it? So you had their contracts because you were processing clients that they had already booked.
We got all the contracts there. And what was part of the reason it went that crazy speed, like I was saying, like the day, like by the end of the week, we were like owners now. Was because we had gone down the road on one property in a neighboring town that we put an offer on, and back and forth with the sellers, was a retrofit. So it was a historic barn. Like, this barn is 7 years old. So the other one that we were thinking of, it was a retrofit, as far as like, okay, this animal and food barn, once we want it to be for people and clients, and elegant, and bathrooms and plumbing and electric. And so we went through all of that. Like, we did all that homework and priced out with contractors and engineers and had the inspections. And so that when we walked up to this place and saw, all right, there's crash bars on those doors, I know how much those are. There's 2 fire extinguishers already here, I know how much those are. And could see, like, because we had done the homework of pricing out to make it this from a animal barn, we knew what an incredible value it was. And because there was another offer on this barn when we put it on, we had to up our price and significantly. And we were still okay with that, because we knew what value we were getting, because we had done all that with the other places. So, hindsight's 2020, as they say. And I believe that, God opens doors and shuts doors for a reason. And that was our learning process. That was our story, right? And another place that we did, where we put did the inspection, had contractors out to see it. It was a house on the property, and they had already done a lot of the work to the barn. But in order to afford it, we'd have to live on the property. And I have 3 little kids, and I was just really uneasy about that. It was close. The house was close, and to the barn and so anyways, I was like, okay, I guess this is what we have to do in order to make it work. But then that didn't work. So anyway, all these things led to being able to pull the trigger super quick when we needed to.
I think the key word is the word of research. I mean, there are so many people that get so excited and think, I'll just open the doors, and then they get hit with, permits and engineering, and we want someone to come out and survey or do, septic tank. Septic right there can ruin plans. I mean, You tell people you need septic for 150 person events, and the county is like,
not doing it.
$50,000 to start, or some crazy numbers thrown out there. So it's absolutely a blessing that this came up, that fell through, and you didn't have to do years of updating. And then not only that, would the neighbors fight it? Everyone always says, oh, it's not a big deal, the next neighbor isn't for miles away. It's always a big deal. It just takes one neighbor to start complaining and have this vision of, a nightmare business and create an issue. That's a whole nother blog. That's a whole nother blog.
I know.
Crazy people with my favorite one is the weed whacker guy. He didn't like his neighbors, so he would weed whack the rocks across from the ceremony site during the ceremony. And then another one had the soda cans and the wood chipper. That's a whole nother property. I mean, when it comes to being diabolical, neighbors are absolutely the best at thinking of horrific ways to,
holy cow,
what they think antagonize the venue, but really ruin some poor couple's wedding day with their mean shenanigans. So
my gosh.
Yeah, there's a million.
We touched on that a little bit, because when we bought the farmhouse and the 2 acres over there, it was a residence. So we had to rezone it with the city in order to make it the same category as the barn, and kind of make the official footprint of the venue, including that. So that was, luckily it was kind of like we were the business was just absorbing a little bit, and not necessarily popping up from nothing, which I think would be a harder issue for neighbors. So we just absorbed and had to go through that with the meetings and the petitions and put it in the newspaper and all the steps you have to do. And it's unnerving. And then you sit there, at the meeting waiting for somebody to raise their hand and say, this is bad. But so I know it's a process at each step. And it takes time and effort.
Well, since we're talking about that piece, and I'm very glad to hear that it worked out for you. And I think because it was so close to the actual working venue. And clearly they did what they could to have a great reputation, which again, you also inherited, which is such an incredible value.
Huge. Yeah.
But I just want to say to anyone watching this, wedding venue startups go through this process and it's different for everybody. But the shame of it all is that a wedding venue will book 35, 45, 55, 100 weddings a year. And there will be 10 to 15 vendors that book a paid position at each of those weddings. So one could say 150, 500 weddings, wedding jobs a year in your local wedding market, all the revenue for local hotels and things like that. So the thought of a wedding venue owner going through that hearing process and being up there by themselves with no one behind them going, look, we use contracts. Look, we're professional industry. Look, we're going to bring hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, to this community, to the local economy. We're responsible. We're professional. We're doing something incredible. And we're part of the business community. We're not just some weirdo with a big yard that says, hey, let's have drunken rampage parties where we supply tractors for chicken and all other kinds of crazy and things that they imagine. One venue owner called me and hers actually had been shut down. She never got started. And it was one neighbor. And their argument was they don't want drunk drivers at 3 o'clock on a weekday, killing the kids getting out of high school, which is very interesting since most wedding venues do no weddings at 3 o'clock on a weekday where the local kids would be impacted. But, these are the things, these are the reasons why no venue owner should ever be standing there by themselves without the support of their community saying, this is who we are and this is what we do. We are legitimate. We're here to enhance what is already happening in the local economy. And so I'm glad it worked out for you, but it does, does make me this is why we started the wedding venue owners and managers community, is really so that none of our venue owners ever have to feel alone during these challenging processes that can be very scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Facebook community has been, as new owners, so huge. I'm sure my husband gets tired of me saying, I start probably half of our conversations with, hey, on my Facebook owners group, this is what they said. Hey, you know what, Dee Dee, or this group said on Facebook. So they mentioned, so it's been this, and I think this is funny, but I think it makes, not only am I learning so much, but it validates what I'm already thinking or already doing. Okay, I did feel weird about doing that. And that's why I felt weird about agreeing to that, or including that, or it's totally oh, I didn't think of that. Yes, it's in my contract now, girl. I heard enough of their stories that we're going to include that. But one of the pieces that my husband and I decided from the beginning was that we were going to be part of the community. And the previous owner did a great job with the business, but it was a bubble. And it was a self-contained bubble. And so there were people here in Anderson. This has been here for 7 years, like I said, and they're like, I didn't even know you were there. You can't, because of the way the trees are and the road and back where we are and stuff, we're within city limits. We're literally right across from the high school and the public pool. And they said, I didn't even know you were here. So we have intentionally joined the city Chamber of Commerce, for the Madison County and Indiana Chamber of Commerce, go to the meetings, go to the events, be a vendor. I've reached out to the schools, the police departments, the sheriffs, the nonprofits. There are so many great nonprofits here in Anderson and in Madison County. And if you guys need your fundraisers, if you need your staff meetings, for the schools, come here. I will turn the lights on for you. I will make it clean. I will make it beautiful. You come and I'll be here so I don't have to pay an employee and everybody wins. It's just sitting here. Why not? And I think that has gone a long way so far. through the Chamber of Commerce, they do like a groundbreaking ceremony, you know, for new businesses. We had the mayor out here, state representatives came with him, and it was like, they got to see it. They're excited about what the possibilities are, because not only do we have this, there's 5 acres that the barn sits on, there's 8 acres in the back of just field, nothing. And so it can hold buildings, it can hold lodging, it can hold another venue, and we plan to work with the city and local like businesses, like you were saying, beds and heads, as well as other like vendors and businesses. And all of our people on the recommendation list are local. I want to do that, you know, and I have worked hard to make those connections, because I'm not going to recommend somebody that I haven't seen do a good job. So yes, the previous owner had recommended vendors, but one of the first thing I went and I contacted them, I held parties here, invited them to come so that I could confidently say, you do a good job, you're local, I'm going to put you on my list. So, you know, I think that goes a long way too in building that community behind you as a vendor, as a venue, to when you do have to go do those kinds of legal things or changes or permits, and you're not just a who are you face.
Absolutely.
I mean,
And
you are at the beginning, but then, you know, you got to work to get yourself out there, I guess.
I love a Chamber of Commerce. So I'm in the DC market. I was raised in Dallas and I lived in Anchorage. And my first experience with events at all was 20 years ago with the Anchorage Chamber of Commerce. They gave me, my first event was 8,000 people at 2 locations with 250 volunteers and a committee that was supposed to help me. And I just remember the committee kept saying, it just runs itself. This event just runs itself. So, I mean, but I survived it, and you either hate it and never do it again, or you love it. And my crazy mind went to the love scale, and I have loved Chambers ever since. I just can't express enough how much a good Chamber of Commerce can do as your start. So with Chambers of Commerce, the thing that I love is that you can use their online directory. You can reach out to those businesses. You can send them information throughout the year. You can book up your holiday events. You know, there's not a ton of weddings that happen during, December. A lot, you know, maybe if you're lucky they are, but a lot of us don't have that. So December is a great time for corporate events. You know, that really hot July and August when there's not a lot going on. Those are great times for those company appreciations. Real estate has had some of the best years ever, as you know, because those houses were going off the market faster than you could even, ink is not even dry on your offer and they're already gone. So I love real estate companies. They do events for their staff, their team, they do events for their clients. And they've had great years. So get involved with your chamber, learn how to use it. We'll do a whole separate blog on that, so we're not taking up all the time here, but you go through that directory and reach out to those local businesses and yeah, the nonprofits as well too. They have a lot of training sometimes that, you know, they need space for. So let's talk a little bit about the pieces, the tools of the trade, the website and the contract. So you had a contract because you got to see her contract. So you kind of knew what one looked like. Did you take the bones of that and structure your own? Did you take it to an attorney? What was your process in updating your contract? And I'd love to know how many pages it was when you saw it and now how many it is. And then I want to talk about the website a little bit and what that journey has been like too.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So contract, yes, it came with one. And I think it was 3 pages. Now it's 5.
Wow.
I know. So, my husband's full-time job involves a lot of contracts. He's not an attorney, but, he works for, a business that is a big piece of what he does. He writes, $1 million worth of like contracts. So his brain helped like tweak ours. I'm not kidding. The Facebook group helped a ton, because just the kind of stuff where I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, I didn't think of that. And it was like going in now. We added some things, right? The farmhouse and the garage lounge weren't there. So all that wording and how the policies and procedures for that had to be added in. And then she was old school paper pencil. I had to convert it to the CRM. I used Dubsado. So that whole process was very enlightening.
Can I butt in there and ask why you picked up Sato?
Um, yeah, I looked at, honey books and the hats, 1970, whatever the hats ones. I honestly can't remember. I don't know. It just seemed easier to use at the beginning, and I am technology illiterate. I'm growing, I'm learning, old dog, new tricks, but I I don't know. I think I just liked it. Seemed easier from what I can remember. And I'm about 90% happy with it. I mean, I've gotten in it long enough now where I'm like, oh, come on, why don't you do this or run this kind of report, or why can't I add this feature? So, but I'm sure that's probably like that with all of them. But
I think 90% is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the contract is always changing. I mean, like, not necessarily after somebody signs it, obviously, but I go and add lines or reword things or take out things. And I'm like, this doesn't even, she had it. It doesn't really apply anymore. So yeah, it grows. We did hire an attorney. I can't remember if he looked at the contract or not. He helped with other stuff like the purchase, like he helped us with I bet he did. I'm sorry, I don't remember if he looked at our
well, I just had another thought come into mind when you're purchasing a venue and all the things you inherit. As we're going towards the talking about the website, would be that Google listing, because I'm assuming she had a Google listing with images and things like that, and getting a fresh new Google listing is challenging enough. I just had to do code on, I mean, it's a whole thing. So
I know.
So what is the best philosophy on what do I do with this existing guy? And what if there were bad reviews? And I mean, there's a whole thing to think of. What if the images are hideous? How am I going to log in there? If she's a pen and paper person, I don't think she's got that Google listing information on her board somewhere where easily accessible, but I don't know.
So if you think about when you get married and the headache it is to change your name, like that's what we had to go through when we changed our name too, because we wanted to drop the barn, because we have plans on being a bigger footprint than just a barn. Like we've already added the farmhouse. We're hoping to turn that into lodging at some point because it has bedrooms upstairs that aren't being used. Like I said, I hope we grow to the 8 acres in the back. So anyways, we dropped the barn and just turned it into Hawks Point Acres. And changing the name on Google, I probably should not have been as hard as I made it to be, but there are still some things that come across my email or something, and occasionally it'll say the barn at Hawks Point. And I'm like, where is this still out there in the world as the old name? But updating that and figuring out the Google business. And luckily she did have a Gmail account like for the business.
Okay.
And so there was something established there. And that was the other thing, changing our email domains. And like you said, going into the website stuff, like that was messy at first because I had a client call me out on it and she's like, okay, your name is this at one spot. You email me, your name is this at this spot. I'm like, girl, give me a minute. Like I've owned a business for 3 weeks. Like, I'm sorry, I don't have it all changed yet. But so it was muddy, and I got real hard on myself about it. Like, why isn't it right? Why isn't it right? And it's just like, okay, take a step back. Like, you just bought a whole business. It's been 3 weeks. There's a lot to do. So, but yeah, we got there. The website needed some attention. Oh my goodness.
So did you take over their website?
Yep. She gave me that, the domain.
I'm going over there to pull it up. So if I lose you or look funny for a second, I just want to see, because the website really looks great. I mean, it looks really nice. It's just nice and fresh and clean. It's not what I would expect. It's not what I would expect from a website you inherited. I expect a lot of really awful things in my brain when I hear an inherited website. So I'm kind of impressed with that.
Thank you. Well, that one's mine. That's all new.
Okay.
The
Okay. So that's
website,
all new.
that's all new. The website had an old domain, with the old name. The person who held it wasn't GoDaddy. It was some other small business that held the website domain name. They were awful to work with. And like shut us down. Anyways, it was a mess. The website itself was not attractive. So it was out of date,
Right.
colors and font, all the like details and things. So I found a company that was, big enough to do a good job and small enough to like answer all my questions and my 1,000 opinions on things. And so yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. And one of the first big checks we wrote was to somebody just to make a new website, just do it again. So, and we just updated it recently again, like I'm like, after we've been in it for 8 or 9 months now, I'm like, okay, this tab needs to be here. I'm getting all these questions, pricing my husband and I do not agree on whether the pricing should be listed or not, but as you'll see,
Right,
the
well,
pricing is listed.
Let's get into
Pricing
that
is listed.
It's listed. So this is a common debate. We talk about this on all the wedding venue owners working vacations.
Yeah.
The thing that comes up for me a lot is when I get messages and emails about why conversion is so low.
Right.
And then I immediately look at the website. That's my first starting place is what is your screen? I mean, a website is your best sales rep and it's your screening, gatekeeper. So anyone that comes there with, half the budget of what you have, philosophy would dictate or reason that you have it right on your website. That's your great screening tool. You get rid of anyone that you would be wasting their time and they would be wasting your time. It's not a fit and they move along. Some people have the philosophy that they would much rather have you contact them. And maybe if a Saturday is outside of your price range, because my business is built to have Fridays and Sundays, I can then maybe persuade you to do a Friday or Sunday. Also, same argument kind of comes up with Calendly or Google Calendars on your website to show, well, now I've lost you and maybe I could have sold you on another date. So I think as long as the pricing is there right in that initial conversation or that initial connection, it's still acting as that filter. But I'm with you. It depends also on how many leads. If I'm getting, 150 leads, I do not want to have to self-filter that. I want my website to go ahead and kick in. Now, if I'm only getting 10, 20 leads a month, I'm probably going to love up every single one. I'm going to talk to them all. I need all of them to convert. I don't know if I bought 2 properties at the same time, something like that. I might be like, midnight, I'm answering your call. What do you want? I'll call you right now. Where are you at? Are you available?
Same. I know. I'm like, I go to bed with the computer. I wake up with the phone. It's bad. It's bad. And, we kind of, my husband and I kind of joke, like, if you can buy an event venue business during a pandemic, and go through all of that, like your marriage is going to be fine because we have been through it, because this is just one of 5,000 things we don't see eye to eye on, but there are, 10 times as much that we do see eye to eye on. So the pricing, I'm of the camp of give them the information because I'm the one here then giving the tour that somehow they may still miss the price. I email it to them. It's on the website, like before their tour. And as soon as you say it, sometimes you see the look, right? Like the glazed over, like, holy crap, why am I here? And I'm like, dang it, read your email. This is not, it's on the website. Like, why is this new information to you? It should not be. So,
no one should ever say they didn't book your venue because of pricing. Like that should never, ever be a reason why that didn't convert. But yet it still is.
I know. So you kind of, we get, and I'm kind of the same mindset too of kind of like how I said at the beginning of, I want to learn. Like I've lived long enough. I've had enough other professions. I'm a mother. I got thick skin. Bring it. Like, let me hear it. And so whether it's a review, I take it seriously, whether it's the feedback after, my workflow that I've set up after their events. And I say, here's some quick 4 questions. Can you answer how we did on these areas? Like legit, tell me, I want to know.
So you send that out after each tour?
After each event.
Oh,
So
okay.
not necessarily after the tour.
Okay.
If they choose to follow up with me and tell me we've decided to book somewhere else, I will ask them, I'm so happy you found something, that you feel confident in and that fits you and your budget. Do you mind telling me, what we could have done better or why not us? And again, they, very few reply to tell you they went somewhere else, and even fewer tell you why. So,
Yeah.
but I ask because I, do care. So,
I mean,
but
that
yeah,
data is incredibly valuable, and it
right.
is hard to get that back. So we have venues that I don't know if you saw, we have that little program where I'll pay couples $25 to tell us why they didn't book a venue and which one they did book. It also requires that they tell us which venues they toured. I think data is so important. And a lot of times there's so many pieces of data that are just floating out in the wind that maybe we're so busy we don't realize we could collect or gather. And
Yeah.
yes, it's just that time in the world where everything is like this, and I don't, and talking to eye contact, your eye contact creeps me out. I can't do it. I don't want to tell you. And honesty and, confrontation, those are all what you do in comments, not in person.
What? That's
So
crazy talk.
yeah, I know, crazy talk. So it's fascinating what we find when I send that out. So what I typically do is I will get a list of 10 people that didn't book the venue. I'll email them on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, because anytime after that, you're not getting a response. And I'll just put in the subject line, I'll Venmo you $25 right now. Tell me why you didn't book a venue. And then my first line is like, hey, I don't represent a venue. I don't share the venue that, reached out to me. I just say, I don't tell the venue who filled out this form. I don't tell you the venue. You just give me the feedback. I'll Venmo you or Cash App you $25 today. And, I'm a small business. I'm just a small little consulting firm. I don't have any skin in the game. But what I will do with this information is help the businesses involved improve and just use it as a tool to get better. And a lot of times they will send it back and they get real. They get really real.
Yeah.
So it's quite fascinating what they'll say in those that sometimes they don't feel comfortable saying, but also to find out what venues they toured, where you were in their search, that that this one toured these four, this one over here toured a completely different 4 or 5, and the reasons for booking them. And yes, when I get feedback that the venue was too expensive, I think that should have been a tour that never happened. The screening should have kicked in and they should have never been there. It should never be because of location. How's that even happen? I mean, come on, you went out and toured the venue.
Same. I'm like, do you not have Google Maps? I did not move. Why are you surprised at how far it was for you to get here? That is baffling. Baffling. I don't understand.
So what is your husband's philosophy with the pricing? Back to that little piece. Does he want to wait until they come out and tour and spring that on him? Has he ever seen one of those faces? Has he been, has he had the pleasure of seeing the devastated look on the face of I love this venue, and now that I can't have it, I love it even more. I literally have a bad review saved on my phone because I'm obsessed with them. I find them, I search them, I screenshot them. I have one that literally says, I've been searching for years and I found my perfect dream wedding venue and they raised the price. Bad review, bad review. And I just think, Google, come on, you can't get rid of that. I mean, like, why? A venue's going to raise prices. It's a business. My second favorite is all they care about is money. That's all they care about. And I love those too, because I'm like, when you go to work, don't you kind of care about the money? Like you wouldn't be there on a volunteer basis. So kind of equate that to a venue owner. They have a few things to pay, a little bit of overhead,
Small details, just details. I think his philosophy falls somewhere in the middle where not necessarily wait till they're here for a tour, but he wants the contact pay. He wants them to reach out, inquire, and then my response to include the pricing. So it starts the communication and then that introduce the pricing that way, not necessarily, book a tour and then give it. But I think at that point you're still, because I know me as a consumer, like that's at the top. Like I'm not gonna embarrass, like I feel bad when they have that look, right? They're here absolutely. And you can tell the shutdown, the physical shutdown and the look on their face. And then I'm like, crap, they feel embarrassed, or awkward. And so it's same, and then the time that they took to get here and all that. So even before that, like even just shopping around, like who doesn't look at shop and look at the, I mean, I'm sure there are people who do, but that's not me. Look at the price tag and things. So, I mean, this is a big price tag, and I feel like it should be not a secret and not a surprise even, or, step 8, it should be at the beginning. So, he concedes it's on the website because I feel like it should be. So we flex there, but, yeah, it's worked out, and we kept our prices, the same for this year and for next. So, one of the things I'm going back and forth on is for 2023, we haven't opened our calendar for that yet. And I know there's been some conversation in the group about, how far do you open your calendar out, and people who are asking about things. And so we'll probably change the prices for 23 since we've kept it 2 years in a row the same. But
well, let's
I'm not sure
interject
yet.
there. What is your deposit process? What is your non-refundable piece? How do you do that?
Yeah. That's so funny. You picked another thing my husband and I do not agree on, but the deposit is currently, and this is what the previous owner did. We've kept it. The deposit is currently $1,000. It is a damage deposit that is totally refundable after your event is completed and your contract upheld. So if you cancel, I keep your $1,000. If you need to reschedule, we work with you. If you something needs cleaned, something's broken or like extra cleaned, the dog poop in the shower that was this summer, or the vomit.
Wait a minute. What?
They had their four-legged friend, their four-legged fur baby, which is totally fine. They're allowed to do that. And I'm like, toilet, shower. The poo is in the shower. I don't know. Our cleaners thought somebody dyed their hair in the sink. Like there was so much junk in the sink. So stuff like that comes out of the damage deposit. If after the event is, everything goes great, you keep your event date, we execute, we send you the $1,000 back.
How much does poop in a shower cost a couple?
Well, it was the cleaners.
I don't think you should answer that question at all, Missy. I think that we should just leave that question lingering out there for anyone to answer in the comments of this video. If you think you have an answer, we can always follow back up with Missy and find out. But I have my thoughts on that $1,000 is not nearly enough to cover the cost of that, because the hazmat suit that I would have to purchase online, and the scoops, and then also the match and the gasoline where I have to burn it down and start over. I know. That's good, but that's just me. All right. I emailed heart palpitations over here on this end of the moment you walk in and see literal turds in your beautiful suite, your beautiful shower, your investment, and the things that go through your brain, and the moments of venue vigilantism that start to roll around in your mind. And the fact that I am willing to come and find most of your clients and do to them what they've done to you. I'm not doing that one, but it does roll around in my mind. Like, who can we hire to go to your holiday party and poop in your shower? Because you kind of just deserve that karma. That's wedding karma. And we need to just, there's not a lot of ways that you can teach things. You're a teacher, this, teaching by example. And I feel like if you do that to someone, listen, there's a reason they don't have 150 of their friends coming to party at their house. And this is why. That four-legged friend. Also, can we just say, I know you didn't do a DNA test on that. You're giving the benefit of the doubt. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. We don't I guess we should probably stop talking about this and move on.
Moving on. I know. I had a lot of I'm sorry's in the email that I emailed the cleaning people with. Like, I have apologized all over myself. Like, you charge me whatever you need to charge me because it's coming out of their deposit. Like, I do not feel bad for them at all. So that's how we do our deposit. One of the things that Matt, my husband, and I don't really see eye to eye on is maybe and it's $1,000 because when they get their day of liability insurance that we require, it's their coverage. The basic plans start at $1,000. So if the damage is over $1,000, that's when their insurance kicks in.
Okay.
So that's why the $1,000 amount is there. My husband feels like it may be a barrier of entry for some people, to just fork out, because we do payment plans on the rest of the invoice, but the $1,000 is paid all at once up front to hold your date and as to act as your damage deposit. So we've kind of gone back and forth on maybe that amount should be lower, and the barrier, if it's a barrier of entry for people to just walk in with $1,000. I don't know. I see where why he's saying that, and why that could definitely be a booking concern, because our numbers aren't what we want it to be, you know? And honestly, like some people are gangbusters for 2022 already. We're creeping. We're moving in the right direction, but we're creeping. So,
what's the goal number for you guys? What is the goal that you're hoping to reach?
We would love to have 30 weddings next in 2022.
So you're not shooting for something crazy, some sky high craziness.
No, nothing crazy. But like I said, nobody knew we were here. So we're doing not only a lot of catch up with the execution and the packages and things, but the advertising, marketing, social media, name out there. So we've been holding a lot of small events, actually. Doing, like, we're set up right now for a family reunion. We had baby showers and wedding showers and birthday parties and things like that. It's kind of a grind, but I told, my husband and I are like, it gets people in the door. And every single time I hear, I didn't even know you were here. This is gorgeous. How long have you guys been here? What else do you do? At the family, I had a dinner here after a family's funeral last weekend. They needed someplace for everybody to go. And they were like, I have no more business cards in here. Like, they took everything. So it's kind of like that's why I do it. I don't charge them a lot, and it's a kind of a grind, and I have to be here. So we probably won't be doing it forever, hopefully. But, it means a lot to those people, and to see, like, the Sweet 16 birthday party, what meant so much. And after the mother's funeral, everybody got the space to be together instead of, we can't come because no one's house fits us all. That kind of stuff. It's cool to see it happen, and it means a lot. But, so that's kind of our strategy right now on the deposit and small events, and just getting people in the door to see it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you guys have been through so much, and it hasn't even officially been a year yet. What are you going to do to celebrate that first year survival? Do you have any cool plans? Some little fun things?
That's a great question. I am not the best at making goals for myself. Like, I know Matt and I have the number of weddings, like, that's a goal, but things like that, where it's like, oh, I do have a goal for Instagram followers. Like, I'm so close to 1,000. I told my husband, I said, just get ready. I'm buying myself something shiny, super shiny, when I hit 1,000, because social media and I, again, old dog, new tricks. So I've had, it was not easy at the beginning to get all that going. And I probably did cry and quit the first time I tried to post, like, to schedule things on Facebook Suites. Like, I watched your tutorial, your interview with the Facebook Suites and things, like, okay, all right. I was doing most of it. Some of it was like, oh, okay, I'll use that feature now, go here, and how to update the ads. I've been doing that, on your little video and things. So, anyway, I don't know what we're going to do for a year, but it should be something. I like that idea.
It's got to be something. If shiny and sparkly is 1,000, Instagram, which is great. You're very close. I just peeped over there, and it's like 9:39. So what we'll do is we'll post you in the group and see if our group, there's 4,100 plus of them. It's not like, if we can't get, up to 1,000 today,
that'd be awesome.
We're going to be very sad, but we'll see if that sparkly shiny thing comes at the end of this video. I love seeing those little successes make you feel so good. You hold on to them, and through the challenging stuff, through the sweaty setup days and the hard work and the sleepless nights and the, oh my gosh, we're doing great. Oh my gosh, I think we're not. Oh my gosh, we're doing great. Oh my gosh, I think we're not. We can do this. No, we can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. Yes, I do. I'm fine. I'm okay. You know, in the closet with the wine, out of the closet with the wine. It's a roller coaster of emotions. And
you feel so bipolar, like you're going crazy. Like, okay,
this morning I was crying and I
good.
wanted to quit. This afternoon I'm good. I'm good again. I'm okay. A call came through. We booked another client. Now we're on a roll. It's all good.
I know.
Funny how up and down, but you know, the worst thing is ever feeling like you're doing it alone. And you have your partner, which is amazing and wonderful, and that he's really engaged and interactive, and that he understands, and that even just going through the process of agreeing on that dream. But even if that wasn't the case, you have a group, you have your tribe, your venue owners tribe. And so we'll follow up figuring out when we need to come to Indiana and where we should go, and you'll help guide us on that when we do a wedding venue owners working vacation. We'll have to get your advice on where to go and, you know, hotel area to stay and all that good stuff, and hopefully come out and visit you and you know, see the beautiful farmhouse and what it looks like, and just like,
oh my gosh,
experience this amazing process that you did. I mean, this is amazing what you've done. This is,
thank you,
like me giving you an award. This is the award. Actually, maybe it's my favorite lip gloss. It's from me to you, and I'm handing it over because you deserve a solid award just for going property next door. Should we, shouldn't we? I can tell you that actually has happened to many venue owners, that the property next door promised to sell to them when they were ready to sell. And the next thing you know, new people are moving in complaining about the wedding venue. Why that owner didn't come to them first or whatever, we will never know, but I've had it happen multiple times, and then the headaches happen. So you purchasing that, I think, was probably so incredibly brilliant to take that risk factor out of the way of having either somebody do weddings right there also, or someone hate weddings, or who knows what.
Yeah.
But you know, the Homer Simpson baby pool with the hot dogs floating around in it and the Speedos out in front while they're dry, you know, whatever nightmare scenario you could think of, you guys avoided that. And that's brilliant. That's a boss move right there. Talk about flex. That's impressive. So
thank you.
I'm sending you that award over there because you all deserve it. And then another one, when you get your 1,000 followers on Instagram.
Oh,
and
sweet.
Just to remind anybody that's watching this, Hawks Point Acres is Instagram, and Hawks, just in case someone doesn't know, HAWKS.
Yes,
and like PLINT, no E on the end.
No E. We're not fancy. We're not, you know, we're not British. It's okay.
You old Hawks Point. Okay, that wasn't British at all, but you know. So we could talk to you for days and days. I really kind of feel like we could do a couple of follow-ups to this, and hopefully we will, and hopefully we'll get to meet you on a wedding venue owners working vacation soon. What if there is a life thing that makes you a CEO ready or CEO survival, I swear it's being a mom. I swear it's being a parent. Being a parent is like training you for all the crazy, and especially wedding industry. I really feel like if you can wrangle children and A, keep them alive, and B, have patience, you are made to be a boss in the wedding industry. You're going to be all right. You're going to be perfectly great. You certainly are.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So true.
All right, Missy, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it. Everybody go check it out.
It was my pleasure.
Point Acres on Instagram and the website, and check it out and send some love and support. And if you know of anyone that wants to get married out there, send them their way and go to the events.
Central Indiana.
Absolutely.
Central Indiana, we're here and booking. So thank you, Dee Dee. It was so fun to talk to you.
Cheers to your success this year. When you hit 30, you'll post in the group. And we'll celebrate with you on all your little milestones and appreciate you. Thank you so much for being part of the wedding venue owners community.
My pleasure. Thank you.